Hello again, everyone. First Fridays with Ambassador Terry and friends, and my guest this month is Neeraja Ganesh. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Terry. I was thrilled when you invited me both for what are you doing as well as this. Looking forward to this conversation.
Well, I am too. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to enjoy this because, First Fridays format is just what's happening in the world, what's relevant with what my guests are doing, and frankly, what I'm doing as well. And so, we have a new quarter century beginning. We have a new generation of beta kids being born now. Brand new year. There's talk of changing careers, executive suite, and there's some leadership issues with political climates in major corporations. Right here in America, being one of them. A new president coming back in. Neeraja, this is exciting. What do you think?
Well, absolutely. All of these, I didn't think of it like that. I mean, I just thought, New Year. But then when you put it in perspective with so many new things, I think it's really an exciting time to be for everyone, not only from a career perspective, but even to kind of look at their own lives and to see where do they want to go with their lives? What is it that they would like to do? I was listening to a TEDx talk yesterday, and this man was talking about intent versus purpose. And I forever thought intent and purpose are the same. But he actually said that most of us start with intent and think that we will reach our purpose, but that doesn't happen. So let's all start with our purpose, which will, over a period of time, lead us to intent. And that's the way to live. And that's what is going to keep all of us happy. And I thought that was brilliant. So yes, it's a great time to be, not only professionally, but even personally.
Wonderful. Yes. Great things. Great way to start this conversation. In America, there's a great divide about who should run this country. And I've had a lot of discussions of wait and see. Our country is designed, our government and our constitution is everything designed for somebody to just not walk in and take over the country forever. There's a lot of things that has to happen before that takes place. So, it a lot of times in history from about the middle 1800s
I put the wrong video up.
There has been big shifts in the way government thinks, the majority thinks.
I put the wrong video up.
Resulting in a great civil war in the middle of the 1800s here in America. There's been a lot of things in a lot of different presidencies in our history.
Uncut version. So
that there was a large part of the population that was not in control, who were buying into the hype of the worst things that can happen type of thinking. And we're still here. We're still here. We're about to be 250 years old, and we're still hanging in there. There's still a lot of people. For instance, India is a third world nation. It is not a third world nation. It's an economic powerhouse, and it's coming along just fine. It's perceptions. Forever, Africa was called the dark continent. It wasn't because it was dark there. There's plenty of light. It's because Black people were there. That was the dark continent. Oh, please. There's still people. Here it is, the 21st century, and we still have leaders of major corporations hiring their fellow Ivy League MBAs to very senior positions because they're the ones that can really run a company. Not those women. They should be home anyway, but don't tell anybody. That kind of stuff. It's the 21st century. Hire brains. You make money. You're in business to make money. higher brains who can make money. Neeraja, what do you think about some of this?
Absolutely. It kind of brings us to talk about the biases and the stereotypes that all of us run with. And I actually say that it's all right to be biased. I mean, it's not something that we did it on our own. The biases have kept into our minds because of the conditioning, the environment, the experiences that each of us has had, right? And hence we've become biased. Now, if it's a conscious bias, then yeah, God save you. I mean, you've got to do something about it. But if it is unconscious, then there's a lot that can be done because it has come because of the conditioning. And that's exactly what you're saying, that we think that only the Ivy League, fellows can run corporations. And that's a bias. How do you address it? I think the first and foremost is to even acknowledge that I'm biased. I'm biased. Ambassador, you may be biased about many things, and everybody is biased. So let's accept it, acknowledge it. And once that has happened, let's look at how do we get out of that conditioning. And I usually look at this as a vicious cycle. It's our experiences that build our mindsets. So if we need to change our mindset, we have to have different experiences, which means that we have to try out something different. So maybe put somebody else from the second grade of colleges or institutions to run the corporation and see how it is, because eventually there is something called as a skill and there is something called as a will. Skills are replaceable and very, very easily learnable too. However, it is the will that determines how good the individual is, whether a leader, whether a works person on the floor. It is the will of the person to make things, and take things forward. And hence, educational institutions and everything else, I say it builds attitude. Okay, it builds attitude in terms of I am from such and such institution, but the real work, the will, the skills, the mindsets, the aptitude to do something, to be able to work with others, to be able to collaborate, to be able to be creative, comes from the person themselves and not necessarily the institutions. So I think it is important for all those biases to be acknowledged and then think about how do I overcome it, which means that I need to build different experiences, which means I have to try out something new. Like Ambassador Terry, you must be bringing in so many different kinds of people to your show. Now, that's why your show is a hit. It is one of the top 125 podcasts, right?
Right.
If you had continued to bring the same kind of people, then I'm sure, people will have got bored after a few episodes. But it's because you are bringing in the diverse kind of people. You're scouting for different kinds of people, different kinds of thoughts. Hence, the show is at the top. Exactly the same everywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're going to make real change in this world, you got to change with starting here, and because, I'm on a world peace mission as well as climate, and world peace begins with yourself, because if you don't have peace, you can't send out that peace vibration. And so nobody can receive that peace vibration. In fact, usually it's the opposite. It's so many thousands of years by happenstance at first, I'm sure, because early humans just didn't stand around a fire and say, okay, you women sit here and make babies. We're going to go we're going to become hunters. Didn't come that way. Women get pregnant, they can't go run around in the hunting game. There's a lot of things that have to be considered. So, there became a role by development. And unfortunately, there's a thing called greed out there. I want more. I want more. I want more. Well, let's make sure that we keep the thumb pushed on those women. They're not as powerful as us men. I can feed my ego and everything from there. And here, many thousands, millenniums from then, we're modern, self-thinking, self-taught for a lot of part people, and we're still thinking that way. It's ingrained in us, but it's a behavior, and all behaviors can be modified and changed. Okay, and it is changing. It's unfortunate that the human basically does not proact with different issues around them until they have to react. And then, reaction time doesn't necessarily make the best decisions if you're in reaction mode than you are if you're proactive. Okay, we're gonna have a problem here. What can we do today so that problem never shows up? Rather than, we're fine. We got 30 million buffalo across the plains in the 1800s. We're never going to run out of buffalo. Well, we almost did that. We got down to like 100. Ladies and gentlemen, 100 or so. And that's just one little thing that humans tend to think out. There's a lot of modern countries and stuff like that where it's a tick-off item to talk about the climate and different things that we're doing. It's a tick-off item, is our company safer and blah, blah, blah. Rather than as a leader, this is my responsibility to make sure my company is safe for every one of our employees. And they're getting a fair shake. They're getting paid properly. They have good benefits so that they want to stay here. And they know that I, CEO, value them as human beings. Okay? Neeraja, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. When you were talking, there were a couple of conversations that came to my mind. So last Women's Day, March 8th is celebrated as International Women's Day every year. So I gave about 20 talks, all right? And in one of these places where I spoke, and last year the theme was Inspire Inclusion. So after the talk, I was invited for lunch with the senior leaders, and there was this one man who said, we are not telling the women don't work. Okay. They choose based on their circumstances. They may choose not to work. But after that, you folks come in and then say that, where are the women? Okay. You are not building inclusive, diverse workforces. So what do? It's the women's choice. So I said, that is where allyship comes in. When you speak about being a male ally or generally an ally for anybody, an ally doesn't mean, oh, I support your decision. An ally also means I challenge your decision. So have you ever asked the woman who took the decision to stay at home because of, say, the baby or, a need for the family, and she chose to quit her job? If you were a real ally, you would have challenged her and said, why? Is there no other way to manage this? What else can we do to support you to ensure that you can still keep your job and manage the things at home? Maybe you have to kind of extend a helping hand, maybe put in a couple of more helpers at home, or whatever else it takes. I mean, there's no dearth of resources today. But you need to challenge that thinking, and that is allyship. So I happen to, say that. And that's what was, coming into my mind when you were speaking about it. And the second thing is about, you rightly said, the leaders. Do they do it as a tick in the box? Okay, everybody's talking diversity. Okay, I will hire 10 women, 20 women, or diversity is beyond gender, right? Diversity is across. So, I will have percentages for any kind of diversity candidates. But the reality is your business does not grow if you do not understand all kinds of customers who will buy your products or services. So if you are designing a woman's handbag, and you do not have a woman in the team who is designing it, you will not know what a woman's requirement is, and that handbag will probably never sell. Right? And that's true for all products and all services. Gone are the days when you'd say that, oh, this car is, oh, driven only by men. I mean, everybody drives cars, and everybody drives flies planes and so on. So to be able to ensure that we get a simple thing, Ambassador Terry, you also speak, right? We have the different formats of mics. So there's a hand mic, which is a bit cumbersome because you have to keep it here. And if there's a clicker that you're using, then both your hands are taken away. Then there is a collar mic. So it gets lapel mic, it gets pinned here. And then that other device, you have to put it somewhere. Now for women, if I'm wearing a sari, I don't have a pocket to put that in. So I got to hold it around. So it's so very difficult. Now, who designed this? If a woman was designing this, then she, and maybe, an Indian woman who wears saris was in the room thinking of who will use it and how comfortable is it for usage, then they could have thought of it very differently. And hence, it is not a tick box exercise. It is proven that businesses are definitely going to grow by leaps and bounds if you have a diverse team sitting from ideation to sales and after sales. And that's what we want the leaders to do. They need to champion it. They need to not just put it as KPIs in everybody's goal sheet to say, hire this many number of women, hire this many number of persons with disability, but to really build those inclusive workspaces so that when you do hire, then they are able to work to their utmost potential. And that's the kind of work, as we spoke last time, I am doing to kind of help organizations, build their culture in such a way that the people feel inclusive.
Yeah. While you were talking, there was just this multitude of things that came to the fore. Like the cheek mic is a basic color of skin tone. That's for guys. That's not for women. The mic box, the controller box that you hang somewhere on your clothing or whatever. That's for guys who wear coats. It's not for women who have blouses and things like that. And you can see them a mile away because they don't blend in. They're not the basic off-white. They're not different colors so that people don't see them. People don't pay attention to the box. They pay attention to the person who's speaking and using the box. And those are just little things. And the list is huge. The list is really huge. And I think you touched on a very good point there. How do you decide inclusivity? You don't. You hire brains. Everybody will come if you have a reputation of anybody can work here, because we want your brains and we'll figure the rest out. If I hire you and you need a certain kind of chair, we'll get it. If I hire you and the type of daycare and things that we're providing in the box is no longer the best thing, well, then let's change it. Now, we as leaders of corporations don't hesitate to refit a factory. So why are we slow about refitting the daycare? And why does it have to be called daycare? Why? I've hated this expression all my life. HR, human resources. Humans are not resources. Humans are investments. Okay? They deliver. Resources are check off. Water's a resource. I'm a person. I am a contributing factor to the success of this company. And I have a voice, even if I have to teletype it, right? It's the mindset that we can do anything when we take away the parameters and the filters we think we need to use to do anything. The result, ladies and gentlemen, it's been proven many, many, many times when you do things because you have to, a law has been changed or anything like that. Far too many times you don't, the people that will run that change and do those kinds of things are, hey, Bob, do this for me, will you? You know, the federal government just says we have to make sure our ramps are a certain angle and those kinds of things. Go handle that. No, boss, I'm busy. Okay, I'll give you a 10% pay raise. Go take care of that. Rather than go find somebody whose business it is and world it is, makes them excited about figuring out a angle on a ramp. They're going to make you money. Not Bob, who wants to go play softball this afternoon. He's just going to say, yeah, that looks close enough. Somebody put the little thingy on there to make sure, but I'm out of here. Got our ball game. You know, that doesn't make business. That does not make an environment that's inviting to who? Your customer. Because guess what? Everybody that works for you and your company are customers. You build automobiles. Guess what? They drive automobiles. You know, we have this. I wrote a book, Consortium Business Model for the 21st Century, where achievement is the central theme and vision. And when you're looking at from the perspective of how can I help my people achieve? Sir Richard Brandon, excellent. You know, take care of your employees. They'll take care of your customers. You know, lockdown and those kinds of things. He's launching cruise ships with full employment capacity. There's a reason, ladies and gentlemen. He's a great guy. And guess what? There's video of him and that first Virgin Cruise Line ship. He was everywhere. He was down in the dirty holds. He was talking to his people everywhere. This guy's a billionaire. He don't even have to be on the ship other than to christen it and let it go. That guy never has to go find people. He doesn't have to hire extra recruiters. There's always a list of people who want to work for that man, and they want to work for him until they retire, not just as a job. That's just one person. There's a lot of success stories out there in a lot of different countries in the world, you know. What do you think about that? I'm talking a lot here.
Absolutely. No, but it was fantastic. So two things. One is, I talk about showing the bigger picture. So I give a simple example. We fill Excel sheets. Of course, these days it's all on the cloud. So there will be a Google sheet. And if you want data from 100 people, 1,000 people, you say, okay, here is a Google sheet, just go and fill it. Back then, when we didn't have cloud and Google Sheets, we had the Excel sheet and we would give the task to one person in the team and say, hey, go around the team, ask everyone to fill this sheet. And it may have 4 columns or 10 columns, name and age and timings or something. Now, if you just tell the person your job is to get this Excel sheet filled, he or she is not going to like it. What kind of a job is that? And there is some even know what is the use for this. So I may actually not do due diligence. I may just fill something randomly. But if I were to tell this person that the leadership is going to use this data, which is going to sit on this Excel sheet, to take some real big decisions, maybe now we're talking hybrid working, right? After COVID, we have gone from work from home to hybrid working, which is a few days in office and few days work from home. There are some organizations considering completely going back to work from office. So say they are going to make a decision like that based on what is the data sitting on this Excel sheet. If I were to give the bigger picture to this person who is going around collecting the data, one, he or she will do it with a lot of passion. We'll look at the columns and say, I think we are missing one column here. And people who are filling it will also understand that that input is going to help really take a good decision and a big decision. So painting the big picture is so very important in this case. And the second thought that I had was about these policies. You spoke about daycare. Right here in India, we have some policies which says there is a maternity leave policy. From the government, we say 6 months of maternity leave to the mother. And she can take it before the child is born, after the child is born, 6 months is given. Daycare, yes, again, a facility which is very important. If you have more than 50 women working in your organizations, and it is important to provide a daycare in the facility. But I talk about gender neutral policies, because the minute you start talking about maternity leave and daycare for women, then people start getting biased. So, oh, I'm hiring a woman. What if she takes maternity leave?
Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen.
I thought there was a little bit of, yeah. So instead of maternity leave, if you say we are going to provide parental leave, anybody can take it, right? And if you're going to provide daycare, and anyone in the organization can use it, the biases automatically go away, because you hire a man, a woman, or whoever can go on 6 months leave when they have a child, can ask.
Got some broadband issues, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us.
For daycare facilities. So I think we have to move to gender neutral.
Nice part about recording, my friend. We can take care of this. There, I got you back.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure whether it was a problem from my side.
I don't know. We'll just cut it out. But you were on point with it.